Chapelle Show. Chapelle Show. Chapelle Show. Chapelle Show. Ow!
Welcome to Not My Reality. I'm your host as always, Vince Stradamus. Thank you for joining us. Now let's get right to it. Was Dave Chappelle the comedian cloned and replaced? Yes, Dave Chappelle was cloned and replaced. That's what the internet's been saying for a while now. So we decided we're going to take a look ourselves without all the bullshit. And we're going to see, well, maybe a little bit of bullshit. Since about 2006, something drastic has happened to Dave Chappelle's personality, his demeanor, and his appearance. He's just not the same person he used to be. Go back and watch old interviews of him in 2005 on Oprah, in 2006 on Inside the Actor's Studio, and you try to tell me that's the same Dave you see today. It's quite obvious he's a changed person. And I'm not talking about normal aging and maturing. This isn't anything new, as it's been repeatedly suggested that Dave Chappelle has been subject to MKUltra or he's been replaced.
And so when I saw him come back, there was a lot less communication. And maybe he just, they just grows, whatever. But I can honestly say, and maybe I'm crazy for, and I am crazy for saying this, when I saw him completely come back, I really questioned if that was him.
Yeah, I know,
It's
right?
a parody. If you don't have a sense of humor, go. Welcome. Is this my reality? Is this your reality? A lot of people are saying Dave Chappelle is now a shadow of his former self. His beliefs, his convictions, personality, demeanor, even his appearance is very different. Obviously, people change over time, but they don't lose every identifying trait and become a completely different person. Dave Chappelle is either being controlled or he was replaced. That's the theory. Remember this, in 2005, Dave Chappelle was the biggest star in comedy. In the realm of cultural significance, Chappelle's show reigned supreme. Then, just like that, poof, it was gone. Chappelle had inexplicably departed to South Africa, and production on the show ceased immediately. Support the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. You're not going to regret it. Don't worry. I'm going to freaking grow on you. Trust me.
Deal with that until we deal with the fact that a devout Muslim who doesn't eat bacon was accused of being a crackhead. You talking about somebody who has a wife and children, 5 children, and lives on a farm, doesn't live here in Hollywood. You saying you convince people that person was an insane crackhead?
So Cat Williams, who everyone thought was crazy until he was proven right about the P. Diddy stuff and a lot of the other shit he said, he says he turned down the same deal as Chappelle. Cat Williams claimed he walked away from $50 million, just like Dave Chappelle did. Quote, "Now I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times, Williams said. He confided he walked away from all that fortune for an integrity he was unwilling to compromise. An example, Cat Williams reflected on the time he was offered Big Mama's House 2, alongside Martin Lawrence. But the comedian refused to wear a dress for the sequel. Years ago in an interview with Oprah, Chappelle also retold his own situation where he was asked to wear a dress for a project. Chappelle claimed that he had to turn down wearing a dress numerous times before the scene was changed. Similar to Williams, the experience had Chappelle questioning why there's so many comics, especially black comics, coerced into wearing dresses in these projects. We did a video about that with Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle. Go look, I'll put a link in the description. Quote, "Then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, why do they put us in these dresses? But wait a minute, it was clear. I was adamant. I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing a dress," Chappelle remembered. This part here, I recommend we all take with a large grain of salt. But this is out there all over the place. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Dave Chappelle's cousin claims the star was killed and cloned by the Illuminati. Yep, that Illuminati. Dave Chappelle was, quote, killed and cloned by the Illuminati after his return from exile in Africa in his appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, at least according to one woman who says she's his cousin. The woman, who we cannot verify is actually related to Chappelle, also says the new Dave, as she calls him, does not recognize her, despite the fact that she was extremely close to Chappelle before the strange events around his escape to Africa. Quote, he wasn't one of them. He refused to do their bidding, she says. He got too big and they took him out. The new Chappelle is not the old Dave Chappelle. He looks nothing like him. He doesn't recognize his own family, and he's totally a different person on stage. All of his real fans can see this. According to his cousin, who does not wish to be named, of course, it was not long after the Oprah interview that Dave Chappelle was killed and cloned. The way they did it was by luring him back into Hollywood executive office, back to the round table of executive types who pushed the Hollywood agenda by offering him his show back with full creative license. To Dave, this sounded too good to be true, but he fell for it. It was his love for his show and comedy that did him in. His cousin warned him, don't do it, it's a trap. But Dave wanted to believe. Dave promised his cousin that he would call her right after the meeting with the executives. She never received, and still has not received, that phone call. Allegedly. She tried calling his cell shortly after the meeting, and someone else picked up. A stranger's voice, who told her that Dave was not there, and hung up. She tried again, and the phone became disconnected. Like I said, we're just putting that out there. This woman could be batshit crazy, or she could be Chappelle's cousin. I don't really know.
I think different ways, but I'll put something out there that I don't know if he came there and he was freaked out.
Now, that last up, you can explain that? I don't know. Maybe that she's crazy. She's not even his cousin. You know, Cat Williams. But this one's the one that got us thinking that there might be something to this. And we're talking about Jim Breuer. Jim Breuer, Dave's half-baked co-star, had his own thoughts on Dave. Now, Jim Breuer told Roseanne Barr that Dave was visited before abruptly freeing to Africa.
For a fact.
He was corrected.
He said, correct.
Yeah.
Hey, by whoever it was. Hey, we need to have a conversation. Would you like some of your own coffee in your house?
What?
Yeah, like that heavy shit.
Breuer's explanation is honest, but it's eerie at the same time. Now, the two were close friends at the time. He stops just short of saying who exactly visited Dave, but the implication is dark. He fears Dave may have been replaced. Now, what we heard on the thing was Dave came out of his shower and there were two men in his bathroom while his wife was sleeping. And they corrected him.
When he told me who visited him, my heart stopped for a second. I'm like, get the fuck. And I'll never forget, he went, you believe me, right? You believe me, Jim, right? And I could, he's like, they came to me. And he said the names. I'm like, get the fuck. What happened?
Now, Breuer maintains Chappelle was replaced, and he's not the same person he knew. Jim Breuer says his old friend Dave Chappelle went to him in private and told him about how an elite group of people came to him, maybe the Black Boule, and they sat him down to correct him. And that was right before he suddenly disappeared and went to Africa.
He came there and he was freaked out. I said, what's going on? And all I could say is he was visited.
He says he no longer communicates with Dave in the same way after he came back. and wonders what really happened. Who visited him? I'd be curious to hear the names. And I don't think it was the pizza guy this time. Breuer says, quote, he came there and he was freaked out. He was visited. And when he told me who visited him, my heart stopped for a second. I'll never forget. He went, you believe me, right? They came to me. He said the names. I said, what happened? Then all of a sudden, boom, off to Africa. But I know for a fact that he was corrected. And he goes on to say, hey, we need to have a conversation. When I saw him come back, it was a lot less communication. And maybe he just grows, whatever. Maybe I'm crazy for saying this. When I saw him completely come back, I really questioned if that was him. I know that's crazy, says Breuer.
And so when I saw him come back, it was a lot less communication. And maybe he just, maybe he just grows, whatever. But I can honestly say, and maybe I'm crazy for, and I am crazy for saying this. When I saw him completely come back, I really questioned if that was him.
Yeah, I know, right? I think that's.
And I know that's really crazy.
I think those same things, yeah.
Was Dave Chappelle offered a deal with the devil by the Hollywood elites and these other satanic scumbags that control society to promote their sick social agenda? And like few do, did he refuse? And we all know what happens to those who refuse this offer. Or is he just a little older, a little more mature? And he has Alex Rodriguez as steroid supplier. But seriously, was Chappelle replaced? I mean, was it a lookalike? A clone? I mean, is a clone a baby to start? Or is it an adult? Because I would think it would be a baby, because you're cloning it. But then there's an episode of the original Star Trek series where Kirk is cloned, and it's an adult Kirk that's his clone. So if it happened on Star Trek, it's got to be real, right? I don't know. This is all confusing. I just don't think it's the same guy. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Let's get the fuck out of here. Who wants to go watch Old Dave and Half Baked? See you there. Peace.